There's no meaning to any of this, so I wanted to find the most meaningless thing that I could come to and join, and here I am. It's deeper than that. I believe we're a field of energy dancing for itself, and I don't care.
This interview took place in 2017. An awakened Jim Carrey walks around the red carpet and denounces all of it, the fame, the award culture, and everything that came with it. It would be shortly after that where Carrey would be hidden from the public until some time. That is, until just last month. It doesn't take long to see a completely different man, from mannerisms to how he speaks. Really makes you wonder what exactly happened to Jim Carrey. There are very few performers in modern Hollywood history who have burned as brightly or as strangely as Jim Carrey. To understand why his rare appearances now feel like cultural events, and why some corners of the internet are speculating that this isn't even him, we have to go back to the beginning, the meteoric rise, the artistic reinvention, and the public unraveling of Jim Carrey. In 1994, Carrey did something almost no actor had ever done. In a single calendar year, he headlined 3 box office hits. Now that I think of it though, Pedro Pascal also was seen everywhere, but I don't know if he still holds this level of prestige with Ace Ventura, Pet Detective, The Mask, and Dumb and Dumber. Almost overnight, he went from an eccentric stand-up comedian and sketch performer to the highest paid comedic actor in the world. His physicality was elastic, his face seemed animated by its own physics engine, making him perfect for a movie like The Mask. He wasn't just telling jokes, he was detonating them. Studios realized audiences weren't just buying tickets for a movie, they were buying tickets for a Jim Carrey performance. He became the first actor to command $20 million per film for a comedy. The industry loved him, and the audiences absolutely adored him. By the 1990s, though, Carrey pivoted. With The Truman Show, he delivered a restrained, existential performance in a more serious role, and it earned him a Golden Globe. It's also an amazing movie, and a serious one at that. He followed it with Man on the Moon, portraying the comedic legend Andy Kaufman with almost frightening immersion. There was an entire documentary made about his method acting in the movie titled Jim and Andy, and I just saw it. It's actually pretty interesting, and he quite literally becomes Andy Kaufman, often citing not remembering who he was after the movie ended. There's method acting, and then there's whatever that was. Released in 2017 and directed by Chris Smith, the documentary is built around hundreds of hours of behind-the-scene footage shot during the making of Man on the Moon. Carrey's biographical portrayal of legendary performance artist Andy Kaufman, which, if you don't know, was sort of like the Tom Green and Eric Andre of that time, but not nearly as aggressive. For nearly 2 decades, the footage was shelved. Studios reportedly feared it would damage Carrey's reputation, and after seeing the footage, I can definitely see why that's the case.
Yes. Oh, so you want, okay, yes. All right, that's what I need to know then. All right, then I won't tell you my concern.
You know, I just want to be supported. I mean, if I want to choose to do something, you should support me. I mean, I don't understand why you're always negative and...
Case. Behind the scenes footage is at times uncomfortable and just flat out awkward. And if you knew anything about Andy Kaufman, you know it was right on brand. Carrey refused to break character for producers, crew, or even Universal executives. When Andy Kaufman's real-life family visits the set, Carrey remained fully in character, crying with Kaufman's father as Andy, speaking tenderly to his sister as if there were their son returned from the dead. In one of the most unsettling and cringy sequences, Carrey, as Tony Clifton, which was a reoccurring character of Kaufman's, antagonized the whole cast and crew to the point of near physical altercation. He insults director Milos Forman, he disrupts shooting schedules, he behaves erratically in ways that go way beyond professional boundaries. And yet, Carrey maintained that none of it was him. Throughout the documentary, he gives his take on the matter as if he had nothing to do with it at all, often referring to his retelling as Andy, or using he-him language as if it just wasn't even him. While I applaud absolute method acting, if you want to call it that, it did kind of go into the cringy, pretentious territory when they were trying to make the movie, and he was pulling stunts and trolling during it, but like I said, it was very on brand on who he was portraying. Carrey admits in the documentary that he felt as if his own identity began dissolving. The experience was less about performance and more about channeling something way beyond himself. This period marked the beginning of his complicated relationship with identity and ego. Carrey began publicly questioning the idea of the self. In interviews, he spoke about fame as an illusion, about Jim Carrey as a character he created. Behind the scenes, his life grew heavier. High-profile relationships, most famously with Jenny McCarthy, kept him in tabloid headlines, and his battle with depression became widely discussed. All the way in 2015, the tragic death of his former girlfriend, Catriona White, led to years of legal battles and public scrutiny. Though he was eventually cleared of wrongdoing, and the media storm intensified his already growing distance from Hollywood. In interviews during this period, Carrey appeared transformed, softer, more philosophical, sometimes detached.
Seriously, the time is up. People are hip to this kind of stuff. I'm here tonight to blow the lid off it, to be the whistleblower. I'm sick and tired of the secrets and the lies. It is the secret symbol of the Illuminati, and you're a part of it.
On red carpets, he made comments about the emptiness of celebrity culture that went viral. Moments where he seemed both present and completely outside of the spectacle. The industry that once embraced his chaos now felt like something he was quietly rejecting. And shortly after, he did announce his retirement, but then he'd returned for selective roles, most notably as Dr. Robotnik in the Sonic the Hedgehog films, which is absolutely hilarious for a movie to come out of retirement for. But he openly stated that he was considering retiring. He wasn't actually going to do it, and suggested that he was pretty serious about stepping away from acting unless it was something extraordinary. And I guess Dr. Robotnik was that. And during this time, he was also exposing the illusion of it all, becoming extremely candid. Cut back to the video I showed at the very beginning of this video. Bearing it all out and saying that nothing is real, he did this on so many of his last appearances. Instead, he painted. He completely withdrew from the constant churn of celebrity culture, no social media addiction, few interviews, rare public sighting, to a culture accustomed to oversharing. His silence felt insane. And then came February 2026.
Que vous façonnez à la forme de votre cœur.
In the latter half of the month, the César Awards took place in Paris, France, and a very rare appearance was made from Carrey for a special reason though. He would be receiving an honorary award for his contributions to the film and television industry at the award ceremony in Paris, which was equivalent to France's Oscars, pretty much. But the minute he hit the scene, it became very clear that something was different. Now, I'm not here to bash or insult anyone on their appearance whatsoever, especially since he is getting older, and with time everyone does get wrinkly, they do change completely, but we see it all over Hollywood and the industry with fillers and facelifts and the whole 9 yards. I personally have always thought that people look way worse with the over-the-top work done on their faces or body, but that's just my personal opinion. But back to Carrey, he looked alarmingly different at this event, like a completely different person. His face shape, nose, and hair were completely different, and his mannerisms were also altered, which we'll go into shortly. Not to take anything away from his award though, he went up and gave his entire speech in French, which I salute him for. Listen, I took 4 years in high school and still find it to be an incredibly hard language. And for the record, I absolutely think that Carrey deserves the award. His career is quite impressive and quite the accomplishment. As I mentioned earlier, the comments became flooded though, with people wondering what happened to him and why he looked and sounded so unbelievably different, with some people throwing out the theory that this was not Jim Carrey, but in fact a clone or a double of some kind. And it really didn't help theories that Carrey has been so rare in the public eye. What I found rather confusing about his appearance is his face. While this could be because of a medication, I haven't personally seen side effects that morphs one's cheeks in that way. But if it is plastic, why would this guy, the one that denounced all of Hollywood and the spectacle of it all, swoop down so low as to alter his face with plastic surgery? The entire idea of getting work done on your face shows some level of validation, but I may be reading way too much into this. With all that being said though, it's also important to keep in mind that Some of the lighting may also affect how he's viewed on the camera, but that still doesn't explain how he sounds and how he's talking and how he's moving, which is radically different from a couple of years ago.
I took on a pretty big challenge trying to do my speech in French. So, I wrote it and I researched it and I practiced it like crazy. But, it's, then I watched everybody.
Well, they say they're celebrating icons inside.
Celebrating
Do you believe
icons.
in
Boy, that is just the absolute lowest aiming, possibility that we could come up with. It's like icons. What do you believe in icons?
So let's go into this cloning theory a little bit more. One of the first, most notable things about his appearance is the way that he spoke. Looking at this footage again from 2017, you can see the clear difference between the two. Just the cadence and the actual vocal tone of his voice is different, even with 9-year difference. Also take a look at his eyes. They just seem completely different, and if anything else, the face may change, but the eyes always stay the same, at least for the most part, and in this case, he just looks completely different. Some people were also citing that he was using his right hand to sign signatures when he's supposed to be left-handed. But after some research, he does seem to always have been right-handed. So the old footage suggests that, and I'm not going to go into that theory, but a lot of people were trying to pull that out as a piece of evidence, but I think I'm going to debunk that one. But our story doesn't end there. This is where things get even more spicy. Shortly after the event, a model and influencer by the name of Alexis Stone, known for creating realistic masks of celebrities, made a cryptic post fueling the theory further. The caption read, "Alexis Stone as Jim Carrey in Paris." It included pictures of Carrey at the event before ending off with a picture of a mask, teeth, and a wig in the background, making a subtle claim that they were the ones cosplaying as him that night, that Jim Carrey wasn't there. It was actually Alexis Stone in a mask. That picture could very well be AI though, and honestly, it probably is. It looks a little sus at the very end. You can kind of see some of the textures. It does look a little weird, but the prospect is actually quite funny. It would be insane if he did send someone on his behalf, or he was quote-unquote cloned, which is actually a loony theory, but today's twisted and demented world, nothing is off the table, and Hollywood is such a depraved and creepy place to be in, especially as you get higher and higher up the ladder. I personally don't think that this was Alexis Stone, but the theories have been absolutely going on fire after they announced this. But if nothing else, let's say he wasn't cloned and this isn't a body double, we can see the insane transformation that has happened with Carrey. A surprising one, considering we had seen a pessimistic and thin-looking Jim Carrey 8 or so years ago. His attitude was one of someone that didn't want to be there, didn't want to be in the limelight, and completely vanished. Yet in this one, he seems all giddy and happy and laughy. It just doesn't really add up, and he's there to accept an award, which, last I checked, he didn't really care about the awards at all. So what exactly made him change his mind about it? Was it this particular award show? What was it? But continuing on though, Gregory Calliar, the general delegate of Francis César Awards, told Variety that the visit was planned months in advance and called the theories ridiculous. He said, "Jim Carrey's visit has been planned since this summer. From the outset, he was extremely touched by the Academy's invitation. 8 months of ongoing constructive discussion. He worked on his speech in French for months, asking me about the exact pronunciation of several words. He came with his partner, his daughter, his grandson, and 12 close friends and family members." He also commented on his appearance, saying, "For me, it's a non-issue. Just remember his generosity, kindness, his benevolence, his elegance." Now, a lot of people are actually calling BS on this and saying that this is still a cover-up, that that's not him at all. People are convinced that Jim Carrey was not there last night to accept that award. And to be honest with you, I don't know. I don't know, but my gut's leaning towards that was him. And as much evidence as I've brought up, it is a little sketchy how much he's changed in terms of his ideology, in terms of how he speaks. That part I'm not really fully confident on, because he's sounding and he's talking like a completely different person. It could be medication, it could be personal struggles, we don't know because he's been so rare, and for good reason. Privacy is an important thing, but this could have been something that led up to that. And I honestly don't think that Alexis Stone, like I said, is Jim Carrey, but it's interesting to see the theories. In the end though, Jim Carrey defied the odds with sheer honesty and complete rejection of Hollywood and this idea of the quote-unquote character almost as if with time the truth became clearer and clearer, as some comedians tend to do. He's frequently said in modern day that Jim Carrey himself is a character just like any other. But what do you think happened to Jim Carrey? If you made it to the end of the video, I hope you enjoyed it. And please be sure to hit that subscribe button to stay up to date with the latest video essays just like this. Check out a couple of weeks ago where I made a video analysis on the movie Blink Twice and the Epstein Files. I'm going to be continuing to do more of these video essays. Thank you very much for watching. Comment below, give it a like, hit the sub button, and I will catch you on the next video.